can you reveal or share any insights about the sales volumes that you're seeing, and what are the hottest products? Because we can't get a hold of small silver coins here.
Yeah, so that business is something that I put together just over a decade ago, because I just I was we started it off as a bit of a gimmick. We would just produce our some 1 ounce coins and hand them out at shows, and people would say, "Hey, can I buy some of these?" And they go, "Well, okay, well." So we started producing them, and so we put together that whole side of business, and but we never expected it was really going to be huge. Like, I think our revenue, on an annual basis, might be $5 million or something. So it's barely a line item, in our financial statements. But we do it because shareholders want to own our silver. It is our silver. We mine it ourselves. We ship it to a mint, Scottsdale or Sunshine. They do most of our work, and they're great products. And in March of last year, when silver collapsed, as you know, and then all of a sudden, over the next 3 months, silver exploded to $29 an ounce. We got wiped out of our inventory. So we spent 6 months rebuilding our inventory, and I thought we had quite a lot in our vault, but it got wiped out in 48 hours. We had 2,700 orders. Never ever experienced that before over a period of 48 hours. Something in the order of $3.8 million or $3.7 million in revenue over two days. And we were charging fairly substantial premiums because I was trying to slow down the sales. We were at 28, and then we got 29, and then 30. Then Jill from my office said, "Let's we got to move this to 35 because we're going to run out of inventory." And boom, I put it to 35. We ran out of inventory anyway. So now the website shut down. We're in discussions with the mints and trying to reestablish some inventory. So we've got some inventory this week, but we're trying to get some of this volume out the door before, because this is not a full-time job for people in our office. And for them to do 2,700 orders, we were having to bring in part-time employees just to pack all the silver up. So it's quite the ordeal. It's very exciting, but not expected in any way. I don't know where you're going to go buy a 1,000-ounce bar. They're not that easy to come by. The 1,000-ounce bars are reserved for the commercial part of the business. So, most of the production, quite honestly, goes into 1,000-ounce bars. Because these goes into computers and industry, and 70% of all silver gets consumed in industry. So, but you can't just simply walk into a bullion store and buy 1,000 ounces of 1,000-ounce bar of silver. They're not available. So I understand what you're saying, but the commercial guys do get the priority for sure, because Sony's, the Teslas, the Apples, they need their metal to produce products. So the banks are going to supply them first with the metal, and the retail guys are the last in the line.
Keith, you mentioned that a positive from all this is that more people are interested in silver. Would you not say another positive would be that this topic and debate about silver manipulation is revived? It's almost become less taboo to talk about silver manipulation. A lot of folks out there saying it's finally exposing the truth behind silver manipulation, because the inflows that we're seeing in ETFs like the SLV, where are they sourcing the silver to meet demand? What do you make about this?
Well, it's a joke, actually. So, over a period of a couple of days, the SLV added something in the order of 110 million ounces of silver to their ETF. And, there's no hoard on the planet of 110 million ounces of silver, period. The knock against mining companies is that we do not have a proper pricing mechanism for the product that we hold very dear to our heart. And it takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get silver and gold out of the surface of the earth, and it takes a ton of energy, and it's a dirty business. We do our best to supply industry with this very, very critical metal, but we get paid next to nothing for our efforts.
You mentioned $100 silver. I know this has been a forecast of yours for a long time. You've been criticized for it, but you still stand by it. Is it only possible if more miners don't sell their production forward? It was something you did back in March of 2020. You were criticized for it by the industry. But is that the only way to get to $100 silver?
I don't think so. I believe it's going to be ultimately the investor that drives it. The 70% of consumption, the industrial demand, it goes up modestly every year, particularly now with electric vehicles and solar panels. But it's a very small uptrend, and you could look at some of the stats out there. But on the interesting side, we do see supply dropping. We're at 4-year lows now. In mining production, we'll see, if mining production turns around in 2022 or, with COVID, getting behind us. But, that investment demand fluctuates between 10 to 20%. And you can go back, 20, 30 years to look at that. And the market is so tight that an extra 10% demand from one buyer, like the retail buyer, can accelerate prices very dramatically, unless they're able to cap it with paper like they did this last time. But if there's a consistent amount of metal being taken out of the market, the banks can't handle that extra demand. And I suggest to the Reddit groups or the millennials out there, stack some silver. Go buy yourself a couple 100 ounces of silver and put it away. Because if everyone did that, that would move the price.
You were definitely spot on when we spoke back in November. You had alluded to the gold silver ratio dropping drastically. When we spoke at the time, we were way over 100. Now we've come back down to 67. Are we headed lower?
Well, you know me, right? So you know the answer to that question before
you asked
it, right? But yeah, look, I thought the mining ratio is the most shocking ratio there is. That's 8 to 1. So, please explain to me how the physical market can have an 8 to 1 ratio to gold and silver, and you're trading at approximately 70 to 1 in the financial markets.
So for every 8 ounces of silver mined, Keith, it's 1 ounce of gold?
That's right, exactly. And that's shocking when you're trading at 70 to 1. Even Sir Isaac Newton in the 500, when King Edward was trying to price the sterling, Sir Isaac Newton said, 16 to 1 is the natural ratio in the Earth's crust. It's amazing. They actually knew that way back then, but they did, I suppose. So that's the natural ratio, according to the scientists. So we're actually mining less than the natural ratio.